The UES Harmony drifted silently through space toward the massive Draknari homeworld. Ambassador Hyunwoo stood at the observation deck, watching the alien planet grow larger. Behind him, military advisor So Young checked her datapad, while xenobiologist Taemin studied atmospheric readings. "First time seeing their capital world," Taemin said quietly. "It's bigger than I expected." So Young looked up from her device. "Everything about the Draknari is bigger than expected. Their ships, their weapons, their ego." Hyunwoo turned away from the window. "Remember why we're here. Peace talks. Trade. Agreements. We want mining rights, not a war." "Do we really?" So Young muttered under her breath. The Harmony approached the orbital station slowly. Draknari ships surrounded them immediately. Each alien vessel was 3 times larger than the human ship. Their hulls were covered in spikes and weapon ports. They looked like floating fortresses built for war. "Incoming transmission," the ship's captain announced. "They're ordering us to dock at Bay 7. Hyunwoo nodded. "Take us in." Bay 7 was enormous. The Harmony looked like a toy compared to the Draknari warships already docked there. As soon as they landed, alien soldiers surrounded their ship. The Draknari stood 8 feet tall with thick gray skin and 4 arms. Each soldier carried weapons that could probably destroy a small building. "Friendly bunch," Taemin whispered. A Draknari officer approached their ship. He spoke through a translator device that made his voice sound like grinding metal. "Human delegation will follow. No weapons, no recording devices, no delays." So Young touched a small device hidden in her jacket. The scanner was completely undetectable by Draknari technology. She had been recording everything since they entered the system. They followed the officer through corridors filled with more soldiers. The station was built for war. Every wall had weapon racks. Every room had tactical displays showing fleet movements. These aliens lived and breathed conflict. "They certainly don't try to hide what they are," Hyunwoo observed. The meeting hall was massive. At the far end sat War Prime Gextal on a throne made from the bones of some unknown creature. He was larger than the other Draknari, with scars covering his arms and face. His eyes were completely black. "So," Gextal said, his voice echoing through the hall. "The soft humans come to beg." Hyunwoo stepped forward calmly. "We come to negotiate. Our species has much to offer each other." Gextal laughed. The sound was like rocks grinding together. "Humans offer nothing we cannot take. You are traders, merchants. We are warriors." "Trade benefits everyone," Hyunwoo replied. "War only destroys. War creates strength." Gextal stood up from his throne. "Weakness creates nothing but more weakness." So Young continued recording. Her scanner picked up detailed information about the station's defenses, troop numbers, and weapon systems. The Draknari had no idea humans possessed such advanced spy technology. "Let's discuss the mining rights," Hyunwoo said. "The asteroid fields in the Kepler sector contain resources both our species need. The Kepler sector belongs to us now," Gextal declared, "as do the 7 human colonies in that region." Taemin looked shocked. "Those colonies have been human settlements for over 50 years, and now they will be Draknari settlements." Gextal replied casually. "Your people can remain as workers if they behave." Hyunwoo remained calm, but So Young noticed his hands tighten slightly. "Those colonies are home to 3 million humans. They're not negotiable." "Everything is negotiable. When you are weak," Gextal walked closer to them, "your species spreads across the galaxy like insects, building little colonies everywhere, trading with everyone, making friends." The War Prime stopped directly in front of Hyunwoo. "But you have no real strength, no warrior spirit. When push comes to fight, humans run." "We prefer peaceful solutions," Hyunwoo said. "Because you cannot fight," Gextal turned to his advisors. "Look at them, soft skin, small bodies. They probably faint at the sight of blood." The other Draknari laughed loudly. So Young kept recording. These aliens had no idea how wrong they were about humans. "Here are our terms." Gextal returned to his throne. "All 7 human colonies surrender completely. Your people become our workers. In return, we let them live. And if we refuse, Hyunwoo asked, then we take the colonies anyway. But your people die instead of living as workers. Taemin stepped forward. War Prime, surely we can find a better solution. Both species could benefit from cooperation. Cooperation is for equals, Gextel replied. Humans are not our equals. You are useful pets at best. So Young noticed something disturbing on her scanner readings. The air in the station contained traces of an unknown biological agent. Her device identified it as artificially created and specifically designed to target human DNA. She caught Hyunwoo's eye and tapped her scanner twice. Their agreed signal that something was seriously wrong. We need time to consider your offer, Hyunwoo said. You have one standard day, Gextal replied. Then we begin taking what belongs to us. The meeting ended abruptly. Draknari soldiers escorted them back to their ship. Once they were safely aboard the Harmony, So Young immediately pulled up her scanner data. They've already started, she said grimly. That biological agent I detected, it's a weapon, designed specifically to kill humans. Taemin looked at the readings. This is sophisticated. They've been planning this for months, maybe years. Hyunwoo sat down heavily in his chair. They never intended to negotiate. This was all just a show. The question is, have they already deployed it? So Young asked. We need to get back to Earth immediately, Hyunwoo stood up. Captain, set course for home. Maximum speed. As the Harmony pulled away from the Draknari station, So Young continued analyzing her recordings. The alien military was massive but overconfident. Their weapons were powerful but crude. Most importantly, they had no idea what humans were truly capable of when threatened. 3 centuries, she said quietly. What? Taemin asked. 3 centuries. We've been playing the role of peaceful traders, never showing our real strength, never letting anyone see what we're actually capable of. Hyunwoo looked out at the stars. Maybe it's time that changed. The journey back to Earth took 2 weeks. During that time, they received disturbing reports from the frontier colonies. Strange illnesses were breaking out. People were dying in agony. The symptoms matched exactly what Taemin predicted the Draknari bioweapon would cause. By the time they reached Earth, 12 human colonies had gone silent. The Draknari had made their choice. Now humanity would make theirs. In his final report to the Human Defense Council, Hyunwoo wrote simply, Diplomatic solutions have failed. The Draknari Empire has declared war on humanity through biological weapons deployment. Recommend immediate transition to Protocol 7. Protocol 7 had not been activated in over 200 years. It was humanity's contingency plan for total war. The peaceful facade was about to end. 6 months after the failed peace talks, the Draknari struck with full force. Their bioweapons spread across 12 human colonies simultaneously. The pathogen was designed to cause maximum suffering before death. The aliens wanted humans to surrender quickly rather than endure the agony. Colony Administrator Ji-hoon stood in the command center of New Busan as the first reports came in. People were collapsing in the streets, the hospitals filled within hours. Children were crying as their parents died in terrible pain. Sir, we're receiving surrender demands from the Draknari fleet, his communications officer reported. Ji-hoon looked at the tactical display. 30 alien warships surrounded the planet. They had enough firepower to destroy every city, but they wanted the humans alive as slaves. Open a channel to all colonies, Ji-hoon ordered. When the connection established, Ji-hoon spoke calmly into the microphone. To all human colonies under attack. This is New Busan Control. The enemy thinks this bioweapon will break us. They expect us to surrender and beg for mercy. He paused, watching more casualty reports scroll across his screen. They wanted to see what humans do when cornered. They're about to find out. New Busan will not surrender. We will fight. If we die as humans, not as slaves. The transmission ended just as the first wave of Draknari shuttles landed outside the city. What happened next shocked the alien commanders. Instead of surrender, the colonists began the most brutal guerrilla war in galactic history. Minji, a former terraforming engineer, led a group of survivors in converting mining equipment into weapons of terrible efficiency. They turned industrial lasers into sniper rifles. Construction mechs became walking tanks. Even farming equipment was modified to kill. The humans fought with a creativity and viciousness that the Draknari had never encountered. "They're not soldiers," one Draknari officer reported to his commander. "They're civilians, but they fight like demons." The alien ground forces expected quick victory. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a nightmare. Human ambushes appeared everywhere. Booby traps destroyed entire squads. Captured Draknari. Soldiers were found days later, driven insane by psychological torture. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun received the reports from the colonies. Each one told the same story. Humans weren't surrendering. They were fighting with a savagery that surprised even their own military leaders. "Sir," his aide reported, "the Galactic Council is demanding we negotiate with the Draknari. They say the violence is getting out of control." Dong Hyun laughed bitterly. Now they care about violence. Where were they when the Draknari deployed bioweapons against civilians? He stood up and walked to the window overlooking the military district. Hidden beneath the peaceful-looking buildings was the real human military. Equipment and weapons that violated 17 different galactic conventions. Technology that could end civilizations. "Activate Project Nightfall," he ordered. "Full authorization." Within hours, the recording of his authorization was leaked across human space. The message was simple and direct. "For 300 years, we've been the galaxy's friendly neighbors. We've hidden what we really are. We've played the role of peaceful traders and diplomats. The Draknari just gave us permission to stop pretending." Dr. Yoon Seo, head of the Human Biological Warfare Division, presented her response to the Draknari plague. Her laboratory had been working on defensive measures for decades, but now they would create something offensive. "The alien bioweapon targets human DNA specifically," she explained to the military council. "But I can modify it, turn it against them, make it far more efficient than their original version." "How much more efficient?" Admiral Dong Hyun asked. "Their weapon kills humans in days with extreme pain. Mine will kill Draknari in hours with even worse suffering, and it will be airborne, waterborne, and contact transmissible." The Admiral nodded, grimly. "Begin immediate production." Across human space, hidden facilities came online. Shipyards that had been disguised as civilian factories revealed their true purpose. The peaceful trading vessels shed their outer hulls to reveal warships. Underneath, mining stations became weapon platforms. The first human war fleet emerged from asteroid bases that had been hidden for centuries. Each ship carried technology that the galaxy had never seen. Weapons that could think and adapt. Defenses that could learn from enemy attacks. Admiral Sang-woo commanded the fleet from the UES Retribution. The ship looked small compared to Draknari dreadnoughts, but appearances were deceiving. It carried enough firepower to destroy entire star systems. "All ships report ready," his tactical officer announced. "Target the Draknari supply base at Helix Station," Sang-woo ordered. "Let's show them what human creativity looks like when applied to warfare." The fleet moved out, leaving Earth's protection for the first time in 3 centuries. Their destination was the heart of Draknari military power. Meanwhile, on the colony worlds, the fighting continued. The humans had learned something important about their enemy. The Draknari were powerful but predictable. They relied on brute force and intimidation. They had no experience fighting opponents who used intelligence instead of strength. Colonel Jae-won, commanding the defense of New Sol Colony, received word that Draknari reinforcements were landing. Instead of retreating, he smiled. "They keep sending more troops," he told his soldiers. "Good, more targets." His forces had spent weeks preparing the urban battlefield. Every building was a trap. Every street was a killing ground. The aliens would find themselves fighting an enemy who knew every advantage of the terrain. "Remember," he told his troops, "we're not just fighting for this colony. We're showing the galaxy what happens when you attack humans. Make sure the lesson is memorable." The battle for New Sol lasted 3 days. When it ended, the Draknari had lost an entire division. The EI human casualties were minimal by comparison. News of the victory spread quickly. Other colonies began using the same tactics. The Draknari found themselves losing battles they should have won easily. In space, Admiral Sang-woo's fleet reached Helix Station. The Draknari defenders were confident. They had 60 warships against 20 human vessels. Enemy fleet approaching. The Draknari commander reported, "They're outnumbered 3-1, this will be quick." But when the battle began, the Draknari discovered that human ships didn't fight like anything they had encountered before. The vessels moved in impossible patterns. Their weapons fired shots that curved around obstacles. Their defenses adapted to each attack. Within 2 hours, 59 Draknari ships were destroyed or disabled. The human fleet lost nothing. Admiral Sang-woo opened a communication channel to the surviving alien commander. "You wanted to see human weakness," he said calmly. "Instead, you've seen human restraint. We've been holding back for 3 centuries. Thank you for giving us a reason to stop." The message was broadcast across the galaxy. Every species received the same warning. Humanity was no longer hiding their true nature. The war was just beginning. The human war fleet arrived at the first major Draknari outpost expecting a conventional space battle. The aliens prepared their standard tactics: overwhelming firepower and direct assault. They had no idea they were about to face something completely new. Admiral Sang-woo commanded from the UES Retribution while studying enemy formations. The Draknari had positioned their ships in traditional battle lines: predictable, vulnerable. "Captain Yun-hai, begin whisper protocol," he ordered. Captain Yun-hai commanded the stealth destroyer UES Silent Death. Her ship was invisible to Draknari sensors, carrying a cargo that would change warfare forever. Self-replicating nanobots, each one smaller than a virus but programmed with deadly intelligence. "Deploying nanobots along enemy supply routes," she reported. The microscopic machines spread through space like an invisible plague. When they contacted Draknari ships, they didn't just destroy systems, they learned. Each encounter made them smarter, more efficient, more cruel. The first Draknari supply convoy encountered the nanobots 12 hours later. The machines ate through hull plating like acid, but slowly. They wanted the crews to suffer. Emergency. Systems failed one by one. Life support became unreliable. The aliens died in terror and agony. "What kind of weapon is this?" the Draknari fleet commander demanded when he received the reports. His science officer studied the wreckage. "Unknown technology. The attacking agents appear to be artificial organisms that learn from each engagement. Can we defend against them? We don't even understand what they are." On the planet below, Major Jae-sung led a special operations team that introduced another new concept to galactic warfare. The Draknari understood killing enemies. They didn't understand psychological warfare. His soldiers moved through Draknari positions like ghosts. They didn't kill every enemy they found. Instead, they left survivors who were terrified beyond reason. Stories spread of human soldiers who appeared from nowhere, killed with impossible precision, and vanished without trace. "They're not natural," one Draknari soldier reported to his commander. "They move too fast, see too well, know things they shouldn't know." "What do you mean?" "They knew our patrol routes before we did. They were waiting at positions we hadn't even chosen yet. The psychological impact spread faster than the nanobots. Draknari units began refusing orders. Soldiers deserted their posts. Officers reported impossible things happening in human territory. The Draknari War Council met in emergency session. War Prime Gextal reviewed the reports with growing alarm. Nothing made sense. Human weapons weren't just effective, they were actively sadistic. "Show me the weapon analysis again," he demanded. His science advisor activated the holographic display. The nanobots appear to be programmed for maximum psychological impact. They could destroy ships instantly, but instead, they cause systems to fail gradually. The crews experience hours of terror before death. And the ground forces? Human soldiers are displaying capabilities that violate known biological limits: enhanced reflexes, improved night vision, apparent precognitive abilities. Gextel slammed his fist on the table. "Humans are weak merchants, they can't have this technology." The evidence suggests otherwise. War Prime. Meanwhile, engineer Hyejin worked from a mobile laboratory, perfecting the anti-Dreknari retrovirus. Her creation was beautiful in its simplicity. It used the aliens' own bioweapon against them, but with exponentially greater efficiency. Field testing is complete, she reported to Admiral Sang-woo. The virus spreads through air, water, and direct contact. Onset time is 6 hours. Death occurs within 12 hours through total organ failure. Psychological effects? Extreme. The victims experience the same agony they inflicted on human colonists, but compressed into half the time. They'll know exactly what our people felt. The Admiral approved immediate deployment. Within days, Dreknari military bases began reporting mysterious illnesses. The aliens who had laughed at human weakness now died screaming in pain worse than they had inflicted. The Galactic Council sent emergency mediators, desperate to stop the escalating violence. They arrived at the human fleet expecting to negotiate with reasonable beings. Admiral Sang-woo received them aboard his flagship. The alien diplomats were shocked by what they saw. Human officers worked with calm efficiency, coordinating attacks of unprecedented cruelty. There was no anger, no hatred, just professional dedication to destroying their enemies. Admiral, the lead mediator began, the Council demands an immediate ceasefire. This level of violence violates every galactic convention. Where was the Council when the Dreknari used bioweapons against civilian colonies? Sang-woo replied calmly. That was regrettable, but 2 wrongs don't make a right. You're correct. 2 wrongs don't make a right. But 1 overwhelming response makes future wrongs unlikely. The Dreknari are willing to negotiate. They had their chance for diplomacy. They chose war. Now they get to learn why humans spent so long avoiding it. The mediators left without achieving anything. The war continued with increasing intensity. Captain Do-hyun commanded a hunter-killer group that stalked Dreknari patrols. His ships used new stealth technology that made them effectively invisible. But instead of quick kills, they played with their prey. Contact enemy destroyer at Sector 7, his tactical officer reported. Begin harassment protocol, Do-hyun ordered. I want them scared before we kill them. His ships appeared on Dreknari sensors for seconds at a time, fired single shots, then vanished. The enemy commander found himself fighting ghosts. His crew became increasingly panicked as systems failed from precise hits they couldn't predict or prevent. After 2 hours of psychological torture, Do-hyun finally destroyed the alien ship, but not before broadcasting the crew's terrified communications across Dreknari military frequencies. Every alien soldier heard their comrades die in helpless fear. The final engagement of this phase occurred when the Dreknari 3rd Fleet, their most elite naval unit, encountered a small human patrol group. The aliens were confident. 47 warships against 7 human vessels. Admiral Kyung-ho commanded the human force from his flagship UES Inevitable. He had been waiting for this opportunity to demonstrate advanced human capabilities. Enemy fleet is taking standard attack formation, his tactical officer reported. They still don't understand, Kyung-ho replied. Activate phase shift weapons. The human ships suddenly became partially transparent. Dreknari weapons passed through them, harmlessly, while human return fire remained devastatingly effective. The aliens found themselves fighting opponents who seemed to exist in a different dimension. What are we fighting? The Dreknari fleet commander demanded. His science officer had no answers. Their ships appear to be shifting between dimensions. Our weapons cannot target them consistently. The battle lasted exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. When it ended, the entire Dreknari 3rd Fleet was destroyed, disabled, or captured. The human patrol group remained completely intact. Admiral Kyung-ho broadcast a message to all surviving Dreknari forces. You wanted to see human weakness. Instead, you've discovered human innovation. We don't just fight harder than you. We fight smarter. Every battle teaches us new ways to defeat you. The recordings of the battle spread across the galaxy within days. Species that had dismissed humans as harmless traitors suddenly realized they faced something unprecedented, an opponent that didn't just win through superior force but through weapons and tactics that defied understanding. The Draknari Empire requested immediate peace negotiations. The humans didn't even respond to the request. The war was about to enter its final phase. The Draknari Empire mobilized every ship, every soldier, every weapon at their disposal. Ancient allies answered their calls for help. Mercenary fleets joined their cause. The assembled armada numbered over 10,000 vessels, the largest military force in galactic history. War Prime Gextal stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical displays. Raw numbers had to overcome human innovation. Surely no species could stand against such overwhelming force. "All fleets report ready," his tactical commander announced. "We have complete numerical superiority." "Then we attack immediately," Gextal ordered. "End this war before the humans can develop more impossible weapons." But humanity was already several steps ahead. Admiral Kyung-Soo commanded the UES Pandora, a ship that existed purely to demonstrate what human imagination could create. When focused on warfare, the Pandora didn't carry conventional weapons. Instead, it housed the collected nightmares of human military research. Devices that existed purely to cause suffering. Technology that turned the act of killing into an art form. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "enemy fleet approaching, in standard formation. They're maintaining traditional battle spacing." Kyung-Soo studied the enemy positions. "They still don't understand. Activate the despair engine." The ship's AI, Dr. Soo-jin's masterpiece, came online. She had programmed it with every human war crime, every torture technique, every method of psychological warfare ever conceived. The AI didn't seek quick victory. It sought to make enemies suffer as humans had suffered. "Despair engine online," the AI announced in a calm female voice, analyzing enemy psychological profiles, selecting optimal fear responses. The first wave of attacks wasn't directed at enemy ships. Instead, the AI targeted their communications, flooding Draknari frequencies with sounds designed to cause maximum psychological damage. Alien crews began reporting hallucinations, paranoia, and uncontrollable fear. "What's happening to our people?" Gextal demanded. "Unknown War Prime. Our soldiers are experiencing severe psychological trauma without any apparent cause." On the Draknari homeworld, civilian populations watched the battle reports with growing terror. The humans weren't just winning. They were demonstrating capabilities that seemed impossible. Ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Weapons that caused aging to accelerate rapidly. Soldiers who predicted enemy movements with supernatural accuracy. Commander Woo Seok led a deep strike mission that changed everything. His special forces team infiltrated a major Draknari command center, not to destroy it, but to access their strategic computers. What he found in the alien databases horrified even hardened human soldiers. The Draknari hadn't planned to simply defeat humanity. They had intended complete extermination. Every man, woman, and child was to be killed, with only a few thousand kept alive as laboratory specimens. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "you need to see these files. They have detailed plans for human experimentation, biological weapons designed to cause specific types of suffering, instructions for keeping human prisoners alive during torture." Woo Seok downloaded everything. The evidence was overwhelming. This wasn't a territorial war or a resource conflict. The Draknari had planned genocide. The intelligence reached Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun within hours. He studied the files in growing fury. The aliens had never intended peaceful coexistence. They had seen humans as interesting animals to study and torture. "Convene the War Council immediately," he ordered. "Full emergency session." When the council assembled, Dong Hyun presented the evidence. The room fell silent as the representatives read the Draknari plans. Complete human extinction, followed by detailed study of human biology and psychology. They planned to keep breeding populations, one council member said quietly, for ongoing experimentation. Children were to be separated from parents immediately after birth, another added. Raised in isolation to study human development under stress. Admiral Dong Hyun stood at the head of the table. "The Draknari Empire has declared not just war, but genocide. They have forfeited any right to continued existence." He activated his command codes. I hereby authorize deployment of species termination protocols. Full implementation. No restrictions. The room fell completely silent. Species termination protocols had been theoretical until now. Weapons designed not just to win wars, but to end entire civilizations. Dr. Yoon Seo received the authorization, with mixed feelings. Her biological weapons were about to become instruments of extinction. The retrovirus she had created could be modified to target all Draknari genetic variants. Begin production of Variant 7 immediately, she ordered her team. This version will affect every member of their species, not just military targets. Ma'am, her assistant asked quietly, are we really going to exterminate an entire species? They tried to exterminate us first, she replied. They plan to torture our children for scientific research. Yes, we're going to end them completely. The final battle began when the massive Draknari armada encountered what appeared to be a small, human defense fleet. 10,000 alien ships faced barely 200 human vessels. Admiral Sang-woo commanded the human forces from his flagship. He had been preparing for this moment for months. The aliens were about to learn that numbers meant nothing against properly applied human intelligence. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Begin Phase 1, Sang-woo ordered. Show them what human engineering can accomplish. The human ships activated technology that defied every known law of physics. They became impossible to target, while their weapons struck with supernatural precision. Draknari ships began exploding not from external damage, but from internal failures. That occurred faster than their crews could react. We're losing ships faster than we can count them, the Draknari fleet commander reported to War Prime Gextal. How many humans are we fighting? The same number as before, 200 ships, but our weapons can't hit them and theirs are destroying us at will. Within 2 hours, over half the Draknari armada was gone. The survivors found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to exist outside normal reality. Human ships appeared inside their formations, fired devastating salvos, and vanished before return fire could be coordinated. Retreat, Gextal finally ordered. All units fall back to defensive positions. But there was nowhere to retreat to. Human forces had somehow positioned themselves throughout Draknari space simultaneously. Every military base, every supply depot, every communication center was under attack. Admiral Hyun-woo, the former diplomat, now commanded one of the hunter groups stalking fleeing Draknari ships. He had traded his diplomatic uniform for military rank and his gentle manner for ruthless efficiency. Enemy destroyer attempting to escape through the Helix Nebula, his tactical officer reported. Pursue and destroy, Hyun-woo ordered without emotion. No survivors. His ship caught the fleeing Draknari vessel within an hour. Instead of a quick kill, he broadcast a message to the alien crew. I offered your War Prime peaceful negotiation, he said calmly. I showed him respect and courtesy. He laughed at human weakness. Now watch what human strength looks like. The Draknari ship died slowly, its systems failing one by one, while the crew broadcast increasingly desperate pleas for mercy. Hyun-woo listened to their fear with the same calm expression he had once used for diplomatic negotiations. When the battle finally ended, the Draknari Empire had lost 9,147 ships out of 10,000. The human fleet had lost exactly 3 vessels, all due to mechanical failures rather than enemy action. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as reports filtered in. Humanity had just demonstrated military capabilities that seemed impossible. They hadn't simply won a battle, they had redefined what warfare could accomplish. Species across the galaxy began sending urgent diplomatic messages to Earth. Ancient enemies offered immediate peace treaties. Neutral worlds requested defense agreements. Even the most powerful civilizations sent representatives begging for human friendship. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer the galaxy's peaceful traders. They were its apex predators, and they had finally decided to hunt. War Prime Gextal sat alone on his flagship, staring at the tactical displays showing the destruction of his empire. In less than 4 hours, humanity had ended Draknari military power forever. The humans were coming for his homeworld next, and there was nothing left to stop them. The war ended not with a peace treaty, but with complete surrender. War Prime Gextal knelt on the ruins of his capital city, facing the same human diplomat he had once mocked. Ambassador Hyunwoo now wore military rank and carried the authority to end civilizations. "Do you remember our first meeting?" Hyunwoo asked calmly. "You called humans soft merchants, pet traders. You laughed at our request for peaceful negotiation." Gextal could barely speak. His empire was gone, his military destroyed, his people dying from the biological weapon that had been turned against them. "Please, we surrender completely, show mercy." "Mercy?" Hyunwoo repeated the word thoughtfully. "You planned to exterminate every human man, woman, and child. You wanted to keep a few of us alive for torture experiments. You thought our children would make interesting test subjects." He gestured to the devastated city around them. "This is mercy. You're still alive to see it." The surrender ceremony took place in the ruins of the Draknari capital. Representatives from across the galaxy watched as humanity dictated terms that would reshape galactic civilization. "The Draknari Empire ceases to exist as of this moment," Hyunwoo announced. "All territory becomes a human protectorate. All military assets are forfeit. All leadership will face war crimes tribunals." "What about our people?" Gextal asked desperately. "Those who survive the retrovirus may apply for citizenship in the new protectorate. They will be treated fairly, which is more than they deserved. But the galaxy's reaction to human victory created new challenges. Ambassador Tae-young from the Veltar crystalline hierarchy arrived with desperate proposals. "The hierarchy wishes to offer immediate alliance," she said, her crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy. "Full economic and military cooperation. We recognize human supremacy in all matters." Similar offers poured in from across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Trade Consortium offered exclusive partnerships. The meditation world sent religious leaders begging for spiritual guidance. Even the notorious Raider clans requested permission to serve as human auxiliaries. Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun met with the Human Defense Council to discuss the new reality. Humanity had become the galaxy's dominant power overnight. With that power came responsibilities they had never wanted. "Every major species is requesting alliance," Admiral So-young reported. "They're all terrified of becoming the next Draknari Empire." "Can we blame them?" Dong-hyun replied. "We just demonstrated that we can end civilizations when we choose to." Dr. Yoon Seo presented her final report on the biological weapons program. The results were more successful than anyone had anticipated. The retrovirus deployment exceeded all projections. It's not just affecting Draknari biology anymore. "What do you mean?" Dong-hyun asked. "The virus has mutated. It now targets any species with genetic markers similar to the Draknari. We've essentially created a weapon that can selectively extinct entire branches of galactic evolution." The room fell, silent. Humanity now possessed the power to decide which species lived and which died. It was a responsibility that no civilization should have. "Can it be controlled?" Admiral Hyunwoo asked. "Yes, but that's not the real issue. The real issue is that we've proven it can be done. Every species in the galaxy now knows that humans can create extinction-level biological weapons specifically tailored to their genetics." Captain Yoon Hai, newly promoted to admiral, was given command of the first human enforcement fleet. Her mission was to patrol the galaxy and ensure that no other species made the Draknari's mistake. "Your orders are simple," Dong-hyun told her. "Maintain peace through strength. Protect human interests. Prevent any species from becoming a threat to galactic stability. And if they refuse to cooperate, then you remind them what happened to the Draknari Empire." The enforcement fleet consisted of ships that looked small and innocent, but carried enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. They would be humanity's ambassadors to a galaxy that now understood the price of challenging human authority. Meanwhile, the trials of Draknari war criminals began. The proceedings were broadcast across the galaxy, showing detailed evidence of the planned human genocide. Species that had remained neutral during the war watched in horror as the full scope of Draknari intentions became clear. "They weren't just planning to defeat us," Prosecutor Minho explained to the Galactic Tribunal. They intended to study us like laboratory animals. Human children were to be separated from parents and raised in isolation to test psychological breaking points. The evidence was overwhelming. The Dreknari leadership had planned atrocities that violated every principle of civilized conduct. Their punishment would serve as a warning to any future species that considered similar actions. On Earth, children learned a new version of galactic history. The peaceful trading period was presented as a necessary phase, but not the natural state of humanity. They were taught that humans chose peace when possible, but possessed the strength to enforce it when necessary. Young Jae-min sat in his history class, listening to his teacher explain the war. Why did we hide our real strength for so long? Because strength without wisdom is dangerous, the teacher replied. We needed to understand the galaxy before we showed our true capabilities. The Dreknari forced us to reveal ourselves, but we were ready. The new galactic order was established through a series of conferences on Earth. For the first time in centuries, representatives from every major civilization gathered in one place. But instead of equals negotiating treaties, they came as subordinates, seeking human approval. Fleet Admiral Dong Hyun addressed the assembled delegates. His speech was brief, but unmistakable. Humanity tried peace for 3 centuries. Some of you mistook our restraint for weakness. We've now demonstrated what happens when that restraint is removed. We prefer to be your partners in building a better galaxy, but we're prepared to be your rulers if partnership fails. Choose wisely. The delegates understood perfectly. Cooperation would bring prosperity and protection. Opposition would bring extinction. The Galactic Council was reorganized with humans holding permanent veto power over all major decisions. The old system of equal representation was abandoned in favor of a hierarchy based on demonstrated power. Some will call this tyranny, Admiral Sang-woo observed during a private meeting. Let them, Dong Hyun replied. Tyrants rule through fear alone. We offer partnership to those who prove trustworthy. The galaxy will be safer with humans in charge than it was with dozens of species competing for dominance. Years later, a young Idao, alien cadet, asked his instructor about the human Dreknari war. The instructor was a veteran who had survived the final battle, his ship one of the few that escaped destruction. Tell me about the humans, the cadet requested. Are they really as dangerous as the stories say? The instructor was quiet for a long moment, remembering the terror of facing human weapons that defied understanding. Child, the humans taught us something important. The most dangerous predator is not the one that hunts constantly, it's the one that chooses not to hunt. What do you mean? For 3 centuries, humans spread across the galaxy peacefully. They traded, explored, made friends with everyone. We thought they were harmless because they chose not to show their claws. The instructor activated a holographic display showing the final battle, thousands of ships destroyed in hours by a force a fraction of their size. When they finally decided to hunt, the galaxy learned why they had been so careful to avoid it. They weren't peaceful because they were weak. They were peaceful because they understood their own capacity for destruction. And now? Now they rule the galaxy, and we're all safer for it. They've proven that they can destroy any threat, but they choose to protect instead. That's what makes them different from every other dominant species in galactic history. The cadet nodded thoughtfully. What happened to the Dreknari? They learned too late that there's a difference between choosing peace and being incapable of war. The few who survived serve as a reminder to anyone who might make the same mistake. The instructor closed the display and looked at his student seriously. Remember this lesson, young one. The galaxy has a new motto now. Don't wake the humans. As long as we remember that, we'll all live in peace. Outside the academy, human patrol ships moved silently through space, their crews vigilant for any signs of trouble. They were the guardians of a new age, ensuring that the galaxy's hard-won peace would endure. Humanity had finally taken their place as the apex species, not through conquest for its own sake, but through the demonstration that they possessed, the will and ability to end any threat to galactic stability. The age of human restraint was over. The age of human leadership had begun, and the galaxy was better for it.